Last year, I actually said I wanted to close off this area, put a laundry room, bathroom back there, because there was a laundry room, bathroom back there. But I also wanted to make it sealed off from the elements to keep a lot of the shop stuff in the shop, dust, fumes, whatnot. The other requirement is too, I needed to make something that is going to handle water. This area of the shop gets water a lot. This is my spray area, so this is I'm usually always hosing the floor down for overspray and whatnot. Obviously, the fan kicks out of the way. Got a new slop sink now. So there's a lot of stuff that's gone into this to make this the way it is and to keep it protected. So I'm going to kind of show you. We're going to rewind the clock, and you're going to go see what I did to do a lot of this. Now, I didn't show me hanging board and this and that, but there is basically roll plate paper behind this Durarock, and it goes, the full 3 feet up or whatever. And then this is all Durarock on the very bottom. And then I'm going to show you what I did for the framing to keep the area clean and water resistant. I've often said that carpentry should be experimental, and that's what's on the bench today. First off, we've got a nun's project. They have this pew that needs to be reworked. Secondly, we have a set of X's, and these form a nice, cool decorative wall panel. And then third, we have the stack of 2x6s. And these are going to be my new shop doors. Experiment number one is the nun's project, and it requires a lot of wood patching. See, they needed this pew reworked, and it was held in by biscuits, and some of the biscuits needed to be filled in. And just taking apart the plywood construction presents its own challenges. You get veneer spalling, you get biscuits that get buried inside. So it's a good idea to experiment and try different things to see if you can clean up some of the stuff and make it disappear. So I grabbed the router, dug out some areas, cut some blocks, glued it all in, and fit it into place. Kept it all the same rift cut, even tried to line up some of the graining, just to do the best you can. Then for color, I ended up taking some wood stain and, believe it or not, some orange paint. Mixed up a little bit of an orange color. It didn't turn out too bad, but I knew it was going to be very hard to match as it was. So now, here it is finished, and the color isn't anywhere close, which we kind of knew it wasn't going to be, but there's that back piece. We were able to remove some of the biscuits. Some of the biscuits got filled. You're going to see them. That one section that you saw me router earlier, if I put my thumb right there, you can see you barely can even tell. And this thing is going to be covered with books and whatnot. But again, it's an experiment to see what you can do. They also needed some signs made. I didn't know what size, so I made two. Thank you, laser engraver. Now, the X project was pretty neat, and it was experimental because we were trying to recreate something. So what we ended up doing was taking like 4x2 ceiling tiles and have them covered in canvas. And then they were all backlit and set at different depths and then mounted to the wall. And it turned out really neat. I may actually do something similar in my house with a little bit different flavor. So stay tuned for that at some point. Besides me doing this entire video, or most of it so far, on voiceover, the other experiment was my shop. And I needed to create a barriers. I needed to kind of create a bathroom / laundry room. And this video that you're watching right now was from my 2023 project video. Now you can go back and watch it. I'll throw a link up above. And most of those projects have actually not been completed. So I could actually change that to whenever I get around to it, update video. But anyhow, this area needed to be reworked. And now I'm going to show you what I ended up doing in a very experimental way to make it work, because the area gets a lot of water and I didn't want to spend a lot of money on it as well. I've been drawing lines all over the floor, coming up with different options, trying to figure out the most narrow, tightest spot that I could come up with. This area is going to be for the washer and dryer. Obviously I need to have the water heater here. I'm going to put like a small shower here. I actually did some plumbing already. Got the shower valve set in. There's going to be a sink here. I still got to move the drain, but I was able to move the plumbing lines over. Toilet's going to stay. Here's going to have a pocket door that'll slide open on this side like a barn door style. I still have to extend this out. I'm trying to maximize as much room as possible because obviously this area back here is my shop and I need as much of the shop that I could possibly have. And yeah, it's cutting into it way too much, but I don't really have a choice. It'd be nice to get the washer and dryer in here, get the water heater in its own area, close off as much of this as possible. That way it keeps a lot of dust coming in from upstairs. At this point too, I'm gonna have to do a little zigzag and then go back into the wall because of the window. So this thing is gonna get turned 90 degrees in that direction, and the gas line is gonna get reworked. But let me just show you what I did here. So obviously this piece, this is gonna be your bottom plate. What is here is a piece of pressure treated 4x4. Now I've got Tapcons, and I got holes just like little divots. So just so you can see how strong this is one I actually have studs going all the way up to the wall, or the ceiling rather. I'm shaking it, both sides, just shaking it, and it ain't moving. And again, same thing, it's a block of wood with those Tapcons underneath. And you know, again, I get a lot of water down here. And I don't get a tremendous amount of water here, but I do get water. So I'm trying to cover my bases to where it's gonna, you know, be somewhat of a wet room. I'm not gonna have to worry about it. I would have went metal studs, but they're like 3 times as much as a wood stud. So wood studs it is. And before we actually go inside there, let's take you around to here. And I actually have a sink that works now. It's really awesome. Nice slop sink, and I've been using the shit out of it, and it's really cool, and it works out good. Unfortunately, it cost me a grinder. Oh no! I left the smoke out! Cutting that sink in half. So I got a little cover too for the drain. That way some dust doesn't get in there, and you're going to see why in a little while, because we're going to eventually take all those 2x6s, and we are going to clean them up, plane them up, and we're going to make 2 doors. Now, I know I've got, it's not really the fancy bead curtain, but that gets closed to, you know, my main purpose too is get rid of dust in this area. So, I still have got a lot of work to do, but I actually have a washer and dryer now that work. And, you know, the water heater had to be turned. A lot of this is now pretty much sealed very well. I still obviously have this wall to construct, but what I'd like to do is, on this side, take a slider door and kind of slide it in. And then on the opposite side into the shop, there's going to be a swing door, which will swing this way to the wall. Now, I don't have the headers made on either or. I still need to put a stud here and some studs here. But I'm making the jambs. And obviously this one is just going to we're going to put some caps on these to, you know, set up the slide function. And unfortunately I have to do a slide function because I have no other room in this bathroom to put a swing door. And believe me, it was very tight just to get the washer and dryer in here to begin with. In the future, the toilet might have to get removed. It's going to get worked on. But anywho, the wood has been planed. And unfortunately, because they are 2x6s from Home Depot, they are twisted as fuck. They are straight though, so we were able to hold them straight, and we're going to start milling up that stuff. I ended up planing them here, and you know, obviously created tons of dust. Most of it didn't go into the drain, so thanks drain cover I made. The doors turned out to be challenging because, you know, when you buy 2x6s from Home Depot, and if you expect them to be straight, well, you're in for a rude awakening, and that's not always the case. But you got to work with what you have, and in the end, you'll see that they turned out pretty decent, even though I had to go through a bunch of stuff. Right now, you'll see I'm laying everything out and figuring out the different mortises that I'm going to need. Then what I ended up doing was I created an attachment for my drill because I do not have a mortising machine. And again, this experimental jig that cradled around my drill and to make the mortises. They weren't the cleanest mortises in the world. They still needed to be cleaned up with chisels and whatnot. But at the end of the day, they still worked. And as far as experiments go, I'm going to call it a win. And you can see that I did do some pre-drilling and just a bunch of different setups like that just to help it out and make it work. And now, just so you know, stiles, rail, and then the thick rail will be on the bottom. And for the insets of the doors, I've got this. It's basically a clear ceiling panel system. And it's 4x2, and it kind of goes up in your ceiling panels. But I'm going to use this is in the infill of the door. So both doors are going to have some translucent properties to them to help in light, because I'm not putting a light in this little vestibule because there's no point. All the mortises are completed. I also have the test tendon piece cut. Now I got markings here. Obviously, the arrows are directing the face. H is for the hinge side. S is for the strike side. The S on top is for the shop door. You can see I got a flat cut. The strike side obviously is going to get a bevel. Now, I already went ahead and flattened out the tops, cleaned up the top edges. The middle rail has been cut to 5 inches. Once everything's assembled, I'll cut everything all together to keep it nice and straight. It helps lining up, and it gives you a little bit more clamping options. So assembly begins, and obviously I don't work this fast. But all the tendons and mortises worked out decent for the most part. Some of them had to be a little adjustment on the fly. And you can see the stuff is pretty twisted. So it took a little bit of fighting and muscling around just to get it to clamp up. Then what I did was I mounted it to the wall to let it dry up. And the wall was nice and straight, so I used that as a good backdrop. I actually kind of overbent it, and then here I am removing it. Now, it actually didn't turn out too bad, and it stayed, for the most part, pretty straight. Straight enough to move on to the next step. And, well, I don't know. What do you guys think? Back on the bench, after they've dried out and been removed, they're not bad. Again, my bench isn't completely flat. These aren't actually even sanded yet, so we're going to rip the sides. The skinny door, which is on the bottom right now, that's going to get square cuts. And then we're going to pick out whatever side's the best for the hinge. And we're going to get a flat cut, square cut on the one side. And then the other side gets basically a 2.5 degree bevel. And then we're going to router out the inside for the glass panels. But yeah, they turn out pretty good. They're, like I say, not perfect, but as far as a 2x6 goes, for a jam, should be good. And I also do have all the jam stock already cut, ready to go. A few other things I've been doing in here. Polished the concrete floor. Got rid of the old stuff, which is there. And then I'm going to basically just put a little tape paint a line here, maybe just black, so it kind of looks like a hard transition. But yes, it's dirty because I went through with some hydraulic cement, filled in some little gashes and holes, put in the floor drain. As far as the drain goes for the shower, there really isn't going to be a drain. It's just going to be, you know, just the way this area is anyway, it's very sloped. So, sorry, Mom, I'm doing laundry. But it's so nice to have a dryer again. But all the water basically will just come pooling here. Sometimes it might migrate to the other floor drain on the other side of the wall. But what I did though too is I put a dish, and I kind of scalloped out like a line all the way through. So when the water does get carried, it should follow this line and go through. There's still going to be a wall here. I'm going to have a curtain that's going to go around the entire thing anyway. I did run some of the water just to test the patterns and this and that. I hardly get anything on this wall, hardly get anything on this area, so it should be good. The rarity that I'm going to be actually down here showering. So it's just, you know, it's nice to have that option if I need it. So I go to the paint store and I start looking at colors. And I was looking at all these different shades of gray, and I decided to come up with this. Now the best part is I had all these shades. So I just walked out of the store, didn't buy a thing. So the previous owner of this house, he used to do this stuff. And this basement, where my shop is located at now, used to actually be his little workshop also, which is one of the reasons why we bought the house, because it was, ideal for what I was going to end up doing with the basement. The problem is, I really would love to reuse this, but it's got too much gold in it. Now, the cool thing about the wood I'm using, already, it does have that kind of amber color to it. So what I did was I just took some stain and I just brushed it over the top, and that dulled it down quite a bit. And I actually want to put it at the very top of the trim to cover up that nasty line that I figured. But as you can see too, like I say, there is some golding to the wood, so I think it'll match up pretty good. Unfortunately, it is too bright. I would love to keep it in that bright color, but I did put this strip up, and it was just too gold. So we're gonna dumb it down a little bit, and it'll kind of be a nice little homage to the guy that owned the place. And this actually used to be installed in my upstairs hallway. It was the top trim. And as you can see too, I've got new stairs. I have not yet swung the other door yet. There's the risers, got treads, and some new closed stringer skirt boards. They still need another coat. Just waiting for this stuff to kind of dry up. And yeah, we're going to get them installed as well. Okay, time to remove these guys. And just so you know, I went through, I put some pencil lines along here and here, just so I know on both sides for reference marks. If you're not familiar with stairs, tread, riser, and then underneath the sawtooth looking things are called stringers. Now, when I remove the tread and the riser, I definitely do not want to destroy the stringers underneath, because I didn't buy new stringers to cut. So again, we're going to go reference points. I'm going to probably have to move the stringer over a few, quarter inches, 3/4 of an inch maybe, because we're going to put the skirt boards on both sides to kind of close this guy in. So let me gingerly remove these things. It's probably going to be a mess underneath, and these will be gone. So it obviously did not come out the way I wanted to. You can see we broke some triangles. There's some chunks missing. Top step didn't make it. That one's pretty bad. Now, most people would say just go buy a new stringer and just make new stringers. I'm not going to the store. All these parts came out clean. I've got glue. We're going to make it work. We're going to have that skirt board here anyway. You can see too, we've got some issues, but that's why the skirt board's going to cover all that. So let me gently remove each one so I don't damage them any further. Glue them, prep them, clean them up, and then I can put the side stringers on for the closed ends. But yeah, this is the nasty mess. That sink will eventually go for the bathroom here. That's the furnace. I am going to do some kind of cleaning up here. I was kind of surprised too, that very bottom riser was actually embedded into the floor. So that kind of works. I won't have to keep it super tidy. So let's pull these guys out, take them to the bench. Now I'm working on these stringers, and it's actually kind of fun. It's like putting together a puzzle. So a glue joint, we got some finish nails in here. Believe me, the glue is going to be stronger with the nails than the actual joint. Now I could go ahead and obviously make new stringers, but I don't know if the new wood's going to be any stronger than this old Doug fir. Now this one is the right side, and it's pretty bad. So we're going to have to do obviously all of these. And then this was the repair that originally was done. You can see with the finished nail here, and then you got another nail here, and then they must have broke this, which is very common. I mean, it happens in construction. But we're going to glue this all back together. We're going to make it solid. Obviously, even with this crappy repair, everything was fine. So you don't have to worry too much about it. Like I say, the glue joint is actually going to be stronger than the grain of the wood anyway. And that's just kind of how it works. So let me put this puzzle back together and wait for everything to dry, and we should be all good. Okay, I haven't actually nailed in the side closed stringers, but they were both a little tough to kind of fit. Obviously, this one hangs out a little bit further than the bottom riser than this side. And then I was trying to just keep the spacing decent. I don't, part of that knot's going to probably be in the way. That's all right. We can go through and fill some of this later. But let's get this stuff nailed on. Then we can start putting in the risers. Okay, and as usual, some mistakes were made. Well, like I said, the first big thing was I was really surprised that was down into the concrete here. So I'm gonna have to probably just caulk this, which I hate caulking, but I think that'll probably be the best. I'm gonna have to go back. I already dinged the wall there, so I started mudding. But as you can see, let's try to pan back a little bit. Everything turned out pretty good until I realized I didn't make a friggin' riser for the very top step, which is okay because I still got to make the nosing for the top step also. So it is what it is. I'll do it. I did put the trim up, so that cleans up that line. Comes back down. I'm going to throw it over here. Hopefully the light's not going to be in the way, but you can kind of maybe see the light's going to screw it up. But you can kind of see that the color from the darkening of the gold to the jam kind of matches. So there's a lot of paint touching up to do. And then I obviously got to make the risers, but let's see if I can go to a different here. There we go. Actually, it doesn't look bad. Not bad at all. And there's glue. It's about as squeaky as it used to be. The top step is obviously squeaky because it's just kind of sitting there right now. But you can see that, yeah, everything turned out really nice. It's all staying in the same plane. The margins from the tip of the nosing to the top of the skirting looks pretty good. So yeah, it's a win compared to what this place used to look like. And there's a reason why I'm not putting lights in this. You can see I am not a taper, and it's all right. It's okay. I found another piece. Flipped around one of the other risers. Resanded it. I still gotta seal it though. But listen to how nice this door shuts. Man, it's like butter. There's the upper hardware for the door, the slider. Now you might say too though, these are translucent doors, so are you gonna be able to see somebody taking a shower? Alright. You guys see anything? I mean, it's not bad. Can't be, I mean, there's no detail, I'd imagine. But I guess I'll check it out when the video shows. So, I really, honestly, just wouldn't worry about it. It is what it is. And the rarity of anybody really down here taking a shower is not really moot. They will be using the bathroom, obviously. Again, it is what it is. I did it for the lighting, and I kind of, I like the way it looks. So, that's how it's going to be. Now, I haven't quite done it yet, but at the very bottom of the wall here, and eventually I might do something, whether it be a fire tape job or I might actually even put some sort of a wall treatment on this. But I bought some of this vinyl base, and you saw it in the vestibule already. And I'm going to stick the weather stripping. I bought a whole roll of this stuff. And I'm going to stick it to the very back side of it. So hopefully it'll allow water to pass, but it should not allow dust to creep back into the laundry area. So you're never going to get your dust on my Lucky Charms. That's something that's going to get done later on, but for right now, it is open. And obviously I still have a lot more to seal off. And honestly, a fire tape here would definitely finish it off. But I still have stuff to do in the laundry room, so I haven't quite gotten to that. But for the most part, this has been working out pretty good. And the dust has been a lot less, even though there is still some dust that you can't see. All right, well, that kind of concludes our little vestibule project. And hopefully the dusting will stay de-dusted and I can keep the upstairs a little bit clean. Next thing I'm going to do is obviously finish the rest of the stuff in here. And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye. Thanks, Sink.